Hello and welcome to this series of videos on Southwire's MCAP product line. My name is Dave Watson. I'm a Principal Applications and Consulting Engineer with Southwire. I'm involved in a lot of our codes and standards activities, for example, the National Electrical Code, CSA and UL standards, a number of other standard organizations, as well as trade associations. In this series of videos, we're going to talk about the history of MCAP product, the products previous to MCAP, and then we'll go into a deeper dive about some particular products, including how to install these products. So, today's video is an introduction in history covering AC cable, MC cable, and MCAP cable. The second video is going to be a deeper dive into the performance of MCAP cable, especially in regards to the grounding. The third video is going to be of special interest to installers and inspectors. That video is going to cover the NEC and UL requirements related to MCAP product, as well as the installation, and it will show the installation differences between AC cable, MC cable, and MCAP cable. So if that's your main need at this time, the third video is for you. The fourth video is going to be a deeper focus on our healthcare facility and then our power plus control signal products. These are specially designed for the patient care areas and healthcare facilities, and for applications such as LED lighting, where you'll have a dimming circuit that needs to be run through control conductors in addition to the power conductors. First, let's start with some history. For our armored cable, the first product to be developed was actually developed over 100 years ago. This is type AC cable. It first showed up in the NEC in 1903, believe it or not. Then later on, much later on, around 1962, is where we see the emergence in the NEC of type MC cable or metal clad cable. The further evolution of this product was in 2005 in the NEC, where the MCAP style of product changes were incorporated into the code to allow that type of construction, to give us the best overall performing product for armored cables. So in the beginning, we had type AC cable. Many of you may know it as BX cable. Well, where did that come from? This product was first listed with UL back in 1899. And then, as we said earlier, it showed up in the 1903 NEC. There were two initial versions of this product. It were called AX and BX, where the X was short for experimental. Well, the BX version is what became the official type AC cable. And so that's why, even to this day, many people refer to that product as BX cable. So when you hear that term, that's really applying to this AC cable. You can see in the image on this slide that there are two conductors wrapped with paper. We'll show this in more detail later. And then in between the armor and the conductors, there's a special bushing that you have to include on type AC cable. It's called an anti-short bushing. Again, more about that later. And now let's take a look at a type AC cable sample. This is type AC cable. As you can see, it has a paper wrap that's over all of the conductors, and then individually, these conductors have paper wrap as well. So all of this paper would need to be removed before doing the termination. Now, the bonding conductor is a 16 gauge aluminum. And when you go to terminate this product, you would need to bend it back and around the armor. We'll show that in the later video regarding the installation of the product. But these are THHN style conductors, although these conductors, I believe, do not carry a separate rating, so that they're only to be used inside of type AC cable. As we see in this construction, there are THHN conductors that are individually paper wrapped. The armor is the equipment grounding conductor, and there is a 16-gauge bond wire underneath the armor. In fact, that bond wire initially was not a part of this product. It was only added in 1959 after there were a number of issues in the field regarding the integrity of the grounding of this cable. This product is made in a size range of 14 gauge to 1 gauge, so it's not available in feeder constructions. It's copper only, and for the smaller circuit sizes, that's solid copper only. So the limitations on this product is that there's a maximum of 4 current carrying conductors, no jacket is allowed, and really the only variation that you have is that you can use aluminum armor or steel armor. So the pros and cons of this product. The pros, obviously, this is a much quicker and easier installation method than pipe and wire. And it's going to have a lower cost than pipe and wire. Now, the cons though, quite a few. This is a prescriptive standard, UL4, that governs armored cable, type AC cable. And that means that the standard tells you exactly how to make the product, and it does not allow for variations in the product. As compared to the later UL 1569 that governs type MC metal clad cables, that is a performance-based standard that specifies an exact performance value that has to be met for, let's say, a crush. And once you meet that value, you're allowed to vary your construction. So therefore, that standard, when we get to MC cables, allows for a lot more variability in the construction. It allows us to make products that can have lots of conductors, lots of different applications, much more so than type AC cable. This 16-gauge bond wire that's used underneath the armor, it is not increased in size as the circuit conductors are increased. It is constant. So you just have it there to reinforce the armor, but you're still primarily relying on the armor of that product for your equipment grounding conductor. What this means is that you have a limited fault current path, especially as you go to the larger conductor sizes. As we alluded to earlier, there's no PVC jacket allowed on this product. This product is dry locations only. It can only be used indoors, so you could not use it in a wet location or a damp location. You could not use it in a direct burial application, things of that nature. So today, type AC cable is a legacy product. It's still specified for a number of institutional projects, especially in the New York City area, but we rarely see the use of this product outside of that regional area. And also, type AC cable requires the use of these anti-short bushings, have to be included. Now, let's take a look at MC cable. MC cable was really designed to overcome the issues identified with type AC cable. As we said earlier, it came into the National Electrical Code in the early 60s. That initially was just for feeder size cables, MC cables. So the circuit size versions were allowed and came into the market in the late 70s, early 80s. This product is going to give you improved grounding performance when you compare it to type AC. It's going to be 350% better for 12 gauge, 500% better for 10 gauge, because this is using a separate equipment grounding conductor that's sized per NEC table 250.122 that governs the equipment conductor sizes. And now let's take a closer look at MC cable. This is type MC cable. As you can see, we have a mylar wrap that covers all of the conductors. And then we have the phase and neutral conductor and then the separate green equipment grounding conductor. So the armor does not supply the equipment grounding function that's handled by this green conductor. This is also type MC cable. This is a PVC jacketed version of the product. This has the same type of construction on the inside as the standard MC cable. The difference is this PVC jacket on the outside, and you can see it also contains the product marking. This product is rated for direct burial applications, so it can be used in wet locations, outdoors, and underground, whereas the standard MC cable cannot be used in those applications. For the MC cable construction, that can be made with THHN, THWN-2 conductors, or XHHW-2 conductors. This was not allowed with type AC cables. The size range is greatly expanded, going from 18 gauge all the way up to 2,000 kc mil. So this covers even the power limited cables that are used for fire alarms, for example, all the way up to some of the largest feeder size conductors. This has a full-size equipment grounding conductor, separate conductor as we saw. For the circuit sizes, that's generally a green insulated equipment grounding conductor. The conductors can be copper or aluminum. They can be solid or stranded. There's no limit to the number of current carrying conductors. You can have aluminum or steel interlocked armor. You can also have a corrugated metal sheath. This is an impervious type of construction that you would be interested in using, especially in a hazardous location. Jacketing is allowed on this product, which means you can have a construction that you can use in wet locations and in direct burial applications. The anti-short bushings that we referred to earlier with type AC cable, they're not required with type MC cable. You can use them, and in fact, I believe that we still ship those with our MC cable, but they are not required. There are a lot of variations, as we alluded to earlier, on this product. The variations allowed in that standard allow us now to make our MCAP cables, also the healthcare facility version and the power and control signal version. In addition, we also make riser MC, which is feeder size products that are especially for long vertical installations in things like high-rise condos. There's also fire alarm MC that is specially designed for the power limited fire alarm circuitry. We also do constructions like neutral per phase, oversized neutral, as well as multi-circuit and isolated ground. So this gives you a wide variety of products that you can make. Now for the pros and cons, compared to type AC cable, MC cable doesn't have to rely on the armor plus that small bond wire. This actually has a full-size equipment grounding conductor that you would take into your device, your panel, and then you would have to land it on a termination there. It's a performance-based standard. It has fewer limits than on product variations. With a jacket, you can use it in wet locations, direct burial, and it gives you much better grounding performance than type AC cable. So a big improvement over type AC cable. There are some cons, however, to this cable. It requires termination of all conductors, including the equipment grounding conductor. With type AC cable, you didn't have to run that conductor into the panel or device and terminate it. So in this product, you do. Because you have more terminations, that can generally lead to lower reliability. In general on installations, that's why you try to eliminate splices, for example, because splices are additional terminations and additional places that things can go wrong. So you can end up with lower reliability, and certainly you end up with more labor and higher box fill with a type MC cable. So type MC cable along with type MCAP cable. These are the modern constructions for armored cables, and they've largely replaced type AC cables in the marketplace. Now, let's discuss the MCAP cable. MCAP stands for Metal Clad All-Purpose Cable. This was designed to maintain the advantages of type MC cable over type AC cable, and it's going to address the three relative weaknesses of type MC cable that we've alluded to earlier. So the equipment grounding conductor has to be routed and terminated into the box. Takes extra time. You have more terminations, which means there's more installation variability and potentially less reliability. And then that grounding conductor is inside the box. It takes up space, so it increases your box fill compared to type AC cable. MCAP cable addresses one of the major issues that we see, which are loose or improper connections after the cables and wires are stuffed into the box. Typically you have splices with splicing connectors as shown in this diagram, and it can be difficult to know if the splicing connector is still making proper contact. So we wanted to reduce the number of terminations in the box and declutter the wiring, and again increase the reliability of the product, the installation. So taking a closer look at the construction, it's identical to MC cable, except that the insulated copper equipment grounding conductor that we had previously, that was located underneath the tape, it's now replaced with a bare aluminum full-size equipment grounding conductor outside of the tape, and it's in full contact with the armor. So it's creating a continuous grounding path via the armor. Now that part of the construction is similar to type AC product that we discussed initially. The size range of our MCAP product runs from 14 gauge to 6 gauge. In this graphic, you'll see that there's a special marking on the neutral, the white neutral, that says armor is the equipment grounding path component. This is going to help the inspector looking at the installation to know that type MCAP product was installed. And now let's take a look at Southwire's MCAP cable. This is the Southwire MCAP cable. As you can see, we have a phase and neutral conductor that are underneath the Mylar wrap. Outside of that wrap, there is a bare aluminum equipment grounding conductor, full size. So this is separate from these other phase and neutral conductors. Southwire has a patent on MCAP cable. It was filed over a decade ago, and we are showing it in this image. So Southwire was very involved in the conception and the changes in the NEC and in the UL standard to allow this product type. So if we look at the old way of wiring, which is the type AC or MC cable, versus the MCAP way, the applications are going to be identical, but again, the use of MCAP cable, you can see with the image on the right, there's less box fill, less terminations, so it's going to be faster to install, more reliable. And now there are push-in, snap-in type fittings that are even faster to use and are going to increase the grounding reliability. So we're eliminating manual connections as much as possible. And this combination of the MCAP cable, the MCI-A fittings, and the box are going to give you actually better performance on your ground than a copper ground. In this example, you can see the panel fill. And so you have simplified grounding connections, again, fewer components, and fewer mechanical connections. And so this creates more room inside of the boxes and panels. As you can see, the panel on the right, there's only one green conductor versus on the left where we had all of those other green conductors installed for the equipment grounding conductor. Due to the reduction in the amount of terminations that have to be made, this is going to give a productivity boost and a savings to contractors. And on a large job, as you can see in this graphic, there can be quite a large amount of savings that you accrue. Now, let's look at the pros and cons for our MCAP cable in comparison to MC cable. For the pros, the equipment grounding conductor is not terminated into the box equipment, so that gives you faster installation and lower cost, as we've discussed. For the cons, well, technically, there are no cons. This product is the best solution for armored cable installations. However, there is one thing. Some inspectors are not familiar with this product and they're unaware of the proper termination method. So it's a good idea to discuss with the inspector before you use the product, or be prepared to show them at the installation, after the installation, that you are installing this product correctly. And that's the focus of the third video in this series, is to help you with that. There are 3 reasons to choose Southwire's MCAP cable solutions. One is the Southwire CableTechSupport. I'm a part of that team. There are a number of us that are there to help with designs and with field support. MC cable and MCAP cable can be made in a wide variety of constructions, and you may have a desire to use something that's not a standard product for us. And so we can do custom constructions of these products. We can also help with code compliance issues, standards issues, things of that type. The reinforced, resilient, and reliable part of this has to do with the product materials, with the construction that we use as we continuously improve our manufacturing processes and equipment. We are in the midst of a very large modernization phase within Southwire now. And then also we have Southwire Speed Services. That's a special concierge type of service that we offer that's going to eliminate minimum order quantities, help you to reduce the lead time, and it helps walk you through the quoting and ordering processes to speed things up if you need. The next video in this series is going to be a deeper dive into the performance of this product, especially focused on the grounding. And thank you for joining us in this video.